How do you create loyalty today as opposed to the old style, 10, 15 years ago? If you look at an advertising budget today, no matter what number you put on it, 50,000, 80,000, 100,000, a significant percentage of that is going to go to e-commerce marketing. And within the e-commerce marketing, as you're looking at your social networking, you're looking at your SEM, SEO, your VDPs, the SRPs, which are hugely relevant. You can't lose in that quest. How are you keeping your database loyal and relevant to you?
Our efforts are not being wasted trying to find work. Basically, things that took me weeks to do, outgoing phone calls I had to do manually, put up with phone numbers that didn't work, emails that were wrong. Instead of taking a couple of weeks to do 500 emails and 500 phone calls manually, one command now does that for me in 30 minutes.
By its very nature, it's an automated process. So once we set the wheels in motion, and One Command staff was very instrumental in kind of guiding us on what calls we'd like to send out, what calls we shouldn't send out, who should make those relevant, timely messages, and then they manage it from us. So it was, for lack of a better term, it was sort of a put it in place and let it go, and One Command sort of manages it for us, so it was very easy. Obviously, it's very critical to keep and retain your customers that are coming through the service bay. They are going to be responsible for probably 30% of our sales. When I got to this store, we didn't really have a process in place to create a loyalty process, to communicate to them in a timely, relevant manner. When we brought One Command on board, we saw a significant increase in customer satisfaction because they were getting timely, relevant information about their vehicle specifically, and we made that easy for them to call back and set up service appointments, and not just service appointments, to purchase new vehicles.
I feel that my time is much better spent throughout the day because I see the results. When I go outside in the service drive, I see the cars lined up. We didn't have that situation before.
CRMs are CRMs. Whether you're spending $2,000, $3,000, or $5,000 on it, it probably does what it's supposed to do so long as you, the dealer employee, does what you're supposed to. You input the data, it reserves it, it holds it, it segments it, and then to some degree it makes it actionable. One Command is very different in the fact that there is a tremendous amount of opportunity in the database that we can't get to. It's too time consuming. So with the analytics that they have, the technology that they employ, we're able to say, listen, we want to call recall. We want to call everybody that missed a service appointment. We want to call everybody and remind them of a service appointment. That may be 2,000, 3,000 phone calls a month. How you possibly cannot do that. So, that's just been a really good service for us. Basically for a couple of reasons. It lightens the load that is typically very tedious to do, and you can't do it with any regularity. And that is to say that even if you had a BDC center, which we do have, you're not guaranteed that everybody makes the same call with the same tone inflection, in a good mood, always doing the right thing. So it's very consistent. So I would recommend it for that. And the other thing I would make sure that a dealer takes it in for is once you implement it, be sure that you can handle what it brings back to you. Because the worst thing that you can do is spend the money, which quite frankly isn't that significant compared to what we spend, and it creates the traffic flow, but you're not ready to receive it. So I would say prepare yourself.
When I would first mention it to them about doing automated calls, I'm sure that they would say the same thing that I did. This thing's not going to work. I mean, people don't want to have an automated system. We got to have actual people doing it. And yeah, I felt that way myself when this first started. I was not very confident in this system, at all. In fact, I insisted on doing some things still the traditional way. But once I found out how well this system works, I'm totally sold. And I think if you try it, just try it like for 30 days. I know that's a big cliche these days. I'm sure you will be totally convinced because you will see the results in the number of emails that you get back and the number of phone calls you get back. And again, it's the quality, of the leads that are coming in. It's like a gold mine of leads. I would say 10 times the results for a quarter of the effort.
Our experience with One Command has been surprisingly fruitful. It's produced far more than I thought it would, and it's been much easier than I anticipated to implement.